everybody, it's Auntie Sug from the Clinical Cookout. Today I want to talk about some LGBTQ plus problems. And as a cisgender, heterosexual woman, I am actually a big ally of the community, and I believe that everybody has the right to love whoever they want to love, and it's honestly nobody's business whoever people want to love. And if it doesn't affect you, then I believe that you should be more than just tolerant, but accepting and just going about your merry life. So let me get into some things about the LGBTQ community. I'm going to come from the did you know perspective because I want to educate, as is always my goal, psychoeducation. Did you know that in 2022, 45% of LGBTQ youth considered suicide? This is a very large chunk of people. It's never okay to make people feel as if they are not good enough to be themselves, as if they are an abomination because they love differently than you, or as if they're an abomination because they feel differently inside of their bodies. So the reason why they commit suicide, or they even contemplate committing suicide, is because largely society is intolerant. People call them names, people bully them, people are physically aggressive towards them, and people are verbally aggressive towards them. Not to mention, if you're a black LGBTQ, you get all that on top of racial hatred. So racial hatred and gender hatred and sexuality hatred is all combined, and it's all intersectional. So if you're a black LGBTQ youth or any other color LGBTQ youth, you probably have it worse than if you were a white LGBTQ youth. So with that said, I did a dissertation on how to love our black LGBTQ youth as parents and family members. And the biggest thing that you can do is simply to love. It's simply to accept and to say, you know what? You are who you are. It doesn't matter. A study in 2018 involved 100 students that were a part of the LGBTQ community. 30% of those students reported that they've been bullied and that they've been physically harassed in schools. So that's out of 100 people, 30 people that are part of the LGBTQ community have been harassed in schools. Now, studies also show that since they are harassed, a lot of them skip school because who wants to come to school and be harassed every single day? I know I don't. A lot of them decide that they'd rather be homeschooled because who wants to be harassed every single day? But check this out. If you are homeschooled and you're not accepted by your parents and you are not accepted in school, then where do you go? That's why people consider suicide, or they consider running away from home and joining house families. A house family is a family that is established to support the LGBTQ community. A lot of people in house families are a part of the community as well. But where do you go whenever you want to feel comfortable? You go to people who look like you. If we think about it, 100 white people in a room and you're the only black person, when that other black person walks in the room, you're going to go towards that other black person because that's where you feel accepted. That's where you feel empowered. So we holler about how we want to be accepted by the majority, and if you think about it, in essence, that's the same exact plight that LGBTQ plus youth and adults have. So with that being said, if more of us were accepting and accommodating, then people would be a little bit more comfortable to be themselves and go to school and get their education. Nobody should have to feel ostracized because of who they are when it's time to go ahead and get their education. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say anything about religious affiliation. One thing that I've taken from my religious affiliation and just my love of God and my love of humanity is that God calls us to love. So I love everybody. I never saw Jesus walking around condemning anybody. Jesus was communing with prostitutes, and he was in the midst of people who were murderers, thieves, liars, everything. So with that being said, my only job is to love the same way he loved. It doesn't matter who these other people love, what they look like, what they want to wear, who they want to have sex with, anything. My job is to love, because as a Christian woman, that's the only thing that I plan on doing to everybody. And if you're supposed to love your enemies, just say, if somebody was a part of the community that you didn't like, if you're supposed to love your enemies, you're supposed to be loving people in the community regardless. So that's my calling. That's what I plan on doing, and that's what I encourage everybody else to do. Did you know that when people in the LGBTQ plus community seek health care, they experience trauma, discrimination, and racial hatred sometimes? Imagine needing help with your mental health. As we already discussed, members of the LGBTQ community has higher levels of anxiety, depression, and suicidal ideation. Now imagine having all of this and being not mentally healthy because of everything that you have to go through, but then you can't even go to the doctor to go and get help. This is the kind of thing that causes suicide. This is the kind of thing that makes the symptoms linger on and on and on without being able to be helped. Now, what can we do? We as mental health professionals can make sure that we are not doing any harm. The first thing we can do is get smart on what we're thinking about when it comes to the LGBTQ community and cleanse our souls and our minds and our hearts of the way that we might feel, even if it is negative. We can become well-versed in the terms. We can become well-versed in the LGBTQ issues. And if you are not well-versed in any of that, come from a posture of curiosity. What are you going through? What have you been through? How can I help you? This is the best way to help somebody with their mental health, is to show them that you're open to helping them and that no matter what, you show them unconditional positive regard. So just ask me, Dr. Walker, what's your point? My point is you can be anything in this world. Be kind. Know that there are people who are struggling. And do you want to add to their struggles or do you want to ease their struggles for the day? That's the question that you should ask yourself. Peace. Happy Pride.